In this video, we are going to be putting on the plywood. We're going to be doing cement board, we're going to be waterproofing, and then we'll see what else we can get done in that time frame before we make this video too long. So if you're interested in that part of the build, stay tuned. Part 2 here, we are back and we are going to be putting on the plywood board and then the fiber rock cement board, whatever you guys are using. We've got fiber rock board to put on the top of that, and then tape the seams, and then we'll do the same on the back wall. We'll come across over here, we will cut out for the sink and start prepping on that, and then potentially we'll be putting on the Schluter siding and getting ready for tile. There's going to be plenty of other things along the way, getting it water ready, watertight, putting a sealant on, stuff like that, so stay tuned. As you can see, some of this framing here, we put extra supports in like this right here, just because otherwise that might become too much weight and we don't want any bowing or anything like that. Also really like putting in the sideboards like this across the back. It gives something for the plywood to sit on across at the angles, anywhere where the plywood could become a little bit more compromised in the corner. So that's a really good thing to do, as well as all of these support pieces coming across, because you don't want any area where there might be too much flex in the plywood or the cement board, because there is tile going on top of that or whatever you might do. So these support pieces, very important. So first things first, we're going to be using 3/4 inch plywood, and we're going to be putting that as the base of the countertop, and then we'll be putting the stuff on top like I said. But we got to cut this down. Best thing would be to use a track saw. Don't have a track saw, so we are going to be using clamps and longer pieces of wood. Essentially use a circular saw and convert it to a track saw. So there's definitely better ways of doing this. You can have a track saw, and you can also cut a perfectly straight board. We don't need it to be perfectly straight. We just need it roughly 3 feet across for our countertop, because we're going to be putting other stuff on top of it. But so what we did here is we have clamped down a nice 2x4, and it's not going anywhere, so we can then take the circular saw, go right up flush against this, cut down. And there's some more progress. Didn't show that whole part there, but now we've got plywood on. We've got plywood on these, so now we can come back, we can do cement fiber board, and then seam tape those. And then from there, we'll be able to work on getting it waterproof. Okay, so we are back in the kitchen, and there is progress to be done today. We'll address real quickly. It is August in Florida. I'm doing this over the part of a couple days, so there are quite a few outfit changes. One, because it's over a couple days, and number two, because it is August in Florida and we are under a heat advisory, and I think the heat is supposed to be something between 100 and 106 or so. So very hot, working in short intervals, and a lot of outfit changes, but also it's over a couple days. So you might have already picked up on that. Do my best to edit this. Community landscape is going on today, so if there's noise from that, I apologize. First, what we need to do before we do anything else is we're going to cut out the sink. So I've got a template. We're going to put the template down. We will cut out the sink, and we will go from there. See if the sink fits that opening. First try. Okay, so hole is cut for the sink. We are now ready for the next layer. The next layer is what we're going to be using is fiber rock cement board. So this fiber rock is a fiber reinforced gypsum board, and that is really good for high traffic areas. It's got a water resistant core, So for the high traffic areas or anywhere you're going to be putting tile, indoor, outdoor, any potential wear and tear, it's a nice thing to be using. You can put vinyl over it, you can paint over it as well. So we're going to be using this outside. So we're going to start roughing it in right now. We're going to get some pieces cut to size, and we are going to get everything here as what would be countertop, and then areas where I was going to do it on the sides. We're going to get this gypsum board over and get it ready, and then on top of that we will do a water kind of paint. That way it is fully waterproof for the outdoors. So you can kind of see with this really good rain here, the rain has stopped up in this region here, and we've got all the way till here. So we've got quite a bit of distance. We will still, when we do the water paint seal barrier on this, we'll do it on this backer area as well, just to give it that extra before we paint. But there's plenty of distance that we don't really have to worry about too much water. As you can see right here, we're going to go ahead and mark this down. Get a knife, give that a good cut. We'll have 2 pieces. We'll start working on the next segment. Gave it a good score a couple times on the other side. We're going to flip it over right on our score line. Back here. Give it a nice. Now there are certain screws required for certain projects. So for this, I've got this rock on. They are for Wonderboard, Dura Rock, stuff like that. And then they are 1.25 inches. So we should be good based on the depth. Only place we might have an issue is if I put any on the overhang over there, which if I do and there's an issue, I'll just have to come through and we'll have to cut those screws on the bottom side if they poke through down at all. But we should be looking pretty good. So there we go, there's a bit of a progress. We saw the sink being cut out. We've done the fiber cement board over this whole area. We did the sides, we went down, back up. So everything's ready now essentially for tile. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come through with this self-adhesive tape. We will tape the seam lines. We'll do the seam lines up there. And then we will have to come back over and mud them with what are we gonna mud them with? We're gonna mud them with mortar. And then we will be ready to lay tile. All the seams, just like this. And we'll mud back over, we'll mud the screws, and we'll be ready to move on. So as you can see, all the yellow tape, we have taped the seams, and now we will mix up some mortar that we have here, and after that we will get the Schluter, which is gonna be our trim edges around here and back here on the counter, and then we can get ready to put the tiles down. So there you go. You want it to be nice and thick, but not too thick and not too loose. So a nice pancake breading consistency is kind of good. This might be a little thick, but we'll be able to make it work. So you don't want this stuff too thick. You just want it nice, kind of like pancake batter. We're just gonna go right over the tape line. We're gonna do this over the whole section. We'll get it nice and in there. We'll float it. And we'll move on. Okay, so there we go. We went over all the tape seams, and we will let this dry and cure. You can see some of it's still pretty wet, but up here this is pretty dry. So once that is nice and dry, we will then take a waterproof bonding seal and we will paint that on just to keep that, and we'll do it on the cabinet facade as well, on the wood siding, so that it's all waterproof. So we're back out now. Everything is nice and dry. So we're gonna come through with some sandpaper. We're gonna get right down on it, and we're just gonna make sure that it's just nice and smooth, no big lumps or anything, and then we'll be ready to move on to the next stage. Now, sanding has been done. We've got this. This is Aqua Defense, and this is a waterproofing crack isolation membrane that we are going to be putting on top of this fiber cement board, and then the tile will go on top of that. So we're going to go ahead and paint this surface. We're also going to paint the this siding down here, just so that we have that really good water membrane. Well, the rain has started again, and it just made me have that thought. Is this step really all that necessary? It's another aqua defense layer. This also has a aqua defense core, but I think this can corrode still over time. This area doesn't really get wet. It might get a little bit, but just, you know, for the $50 or so that this costs, and then for just the peace of mind, and then being Florida with these rainstorms and hurricanes, as well as the humidity, I just think it's a safe thing to do. So for $50, maybe it's not needed, but at least it's another layer. So this morning we are going to get ready to prep the Rondeck Step Schluter Edge trim. It's a step trim tile. We're going to end up putting it over kind of like this right here, and then it'll sit over the cabinet, and it'll sit up on the counter like that. They sell this in multiple different colors. However, this was the cheapest, and they didn't sell it in a black that I liked. And so I found this high performance enamel spray paint, and it's got a kind of a matte finish on it. And so we're going to use that. We are going to spray this, but before we do that, we are going to have to use a little bit of a fine. So I have a 600 grit sandpaper just to rough it up just a tiny bit, and that way the paint enamel spray paint will stick that much better, and then we'll be ready to move forward from there. Before we do install it, we are going to start painting the siding down here. While those Schluter edge pieces are drying, we're going to come in here and we're going to take out these V-board cabinets and drawers and such that were supplied to us and that we purchased. Remember, this one is special thanks to V-board on some of these here. And then we're going to come through and we are going to paint our siding now, and then we'll be ready to put the Schluter corner pieces on. So we're painting it nice and dark, and this color here will match that nice dark blue in our tile, which is what's in our pool. And these tiles will go on this whole back wall here, so it'll all tie together nicely. And then the counter and the side are going to be black, so it's just going to be nice and dark and look really clean. Okay, so the next step, we went and got some of these corner pieces. These are made of like a PVC material, which will be good for weatherproofing and stuff. But we're gonna put this on the corners, make it nice and clean looking, and take away some of those raw edges. So I'm gonna crouch on down here, and you can see now that we just hammered out these corner pieces. So everything looks a lot cleaner now. We thought about maybe going with a different color there to contrast or whatnot, but we just went with the seamless, nice and clean. So that next stage of the cleanup process is done. Tomorrow, it's getting kind of late now. Tomorrow we will work on the Schluter corner pieces. There was an issue, so we're gonna have to like call an audible there and work a little bit differently on that because the corner pieces that we got aren't correct. So we're gonna have to figure out what to do there, and then after that, it'll pretty much be time to tile, and then we'll have probably another video going over the hood vent, the backsplash, the ceiling, and all that other stuff, the finishing stuff. So stay tuned. We'll be back out here tomorrow to work on more stuff. Okay, so the kitchen kind of looks like it's taken 2 steps back, but we're at a spot now where we are going to install these V-Vor. Remember, V-Vor helped make this video possible. We're going to install these V-Vor drawers, systems, and doors in. So we just got the trash can put in. The trash can, unlike the other access doors, doesn't have, let me show you here, doesn't have these side areas where you can kind of drill in through here. So what I'm going to have to do is open this up through here and go in through the back, take the drawers out, and then add as you'll see, add two areas where we can screw in to the supports so that when we pull these drawers and stuff, the cabinet itself doesn't move. Same way we just did here. So now this is secure, so we can open this up, we can shut it, and the frame and the box itself does not come off. So we've taken the drawers off, which means now we can go on the bottom and on the top. I'll drill 2 holes and then we'll be able to screw into the support studs. Yesterday, I didn't film it, we did make this couch. We were actually able to buy the correct corner pieces, but it's gonna take a couple days to get them. So we're gonna wrap up this video here, and in the next video will be our final of the kitchen build. We'll do the countertops, we'll put the Schluter on with the countertops, we'll do the backsplash, the hood vent, we're gonna do the ceiling, and then you know, any finishing touches like putting up the TV and the sink and stuff like that. So if you're interested, that'll be in the third and final part of this video, and thanks for watching.